Hello and welcome to Good360's Compliance webinar. My name is Jan McKenzie and I'm Senior Manager of Compliance. Hello and welcome to Good360's Compliance webinar. My name is Jan McKenzie and I'm Senior Manager of Compliance. Today's webinar, we will have a welcome to our Circle of Good. We'll outline the life cycle of inventory donations, including the legal structure, which is the basis in managing and monitoring the donations, and do an overview of our agreement with your organization and your responsibilities, and that includes the review of the Master Donation Acceptance Agreement. We'll also outline some points of emphasis and other administrative pieces. Hello and welcome to Good360's Compliance webinar. My name is Jan McKenzie and I'm Senior Manager of Compliance. For today's webinar, we'd first like to welcome your organization to our Circle of Good. We'll outline the life cycle of inventory donations, including the legal structure, which is a basis for managing and monitoring those donations, and review the agreement with your organization to Good360, and that's the Master Donation Acceptance Agreement. We'll outline some points of emphasis and other administrative pieces. First, welcome to the Circle of Good. Good360 helps companies resolve the business challenge of responsibly distributing excess goods for maximum impact, and in doing so, we help our nonprofit partners deliver on their own important missions. As you can see from the model on the left, the Circle of Good incorporates corporations, nonprofits, individuals, and society. Good360 is a global leader in product philanthropy. We've been in operation for 35 years in purposeful giving, and during that time have distributed over $9 billion in products. We have over 80,000 nonprofit members and supported by over 400 corporate partners. Good360 has 5 purposeful giving channels. We initiate with our online donation catalog, where an organization can go online and select product to ship directly to your organization, typically a carton of product or could be even a pallet of product. For organizations that are larger and have warehousing capacity and serving lots of families and individuals, there is the possibility to receive a truckload of donated goods, and this would be a 53-foot semi-trailer of donated goods. The retail matching program is where your organization will be matched with a local retail store in your community, and you go and make pickups at that store. Disaster recovery supports organizations that are making a difference after a natural disaster event, such as an earthquake, fire, tornado, hurricane. And then finally, we have managed programs. So some corporations we work with want to design a custom giving program. So we work directly with them in whatever they would like for setup. We'll turn now to the life cycle of inventory donations. Again, we'll outline the legal structure and why it's important. We start here with our donated goods. This structure provides the flow of donated goods from the donors directly all the way down to the individuals receiving them. The structure provides the backbone of enforcement and obligations to each other. And this provides compliance measures that help monitor and manage security of donated goods. As we start on the left, we look at our donors who donate these goods to Good360. With that, there is a donation agreement in place that provides details on product donations and legal obligations of each entity. In turn, Good360 makes the donations available to nonprofits such as yourselves. And with that, we do have a Master Donation Acceptance Agreement that we will review momentarily. This does provide details on how that product can be used. And as your organization receives these goods, you're distributing them for free to the individuals in need, and with that, maintain a distribution record log. So why is this important? Well, first we want to assure our donors that their donations are being distributed and used for the purpose they intended when they made that donation to Good360. Goods must be distributed and used in compliance with the 170E3 IRS ruling, which may allow donors to take an accelerated tax credit. This also then leads to tracking and reporting. Certainly our donors are interested in knowing who's received this product, how it's made a difference in your nonprofit community, and to the individuals and families receiving those goods. We also need to be able to track the distribution should there be product recalls, audits, or other reasons for that information. Certainly, misuse of product can potentially put at risk our partnership with the donor. We'll turn now to the agreement your organization has with Good360. This is the Master Donation Acceptance Agreement, which outlines some points of emphasis and other administrative pieces. So the Master Donation Acceptance Agreement includes several key elements. First is membership to Good360. An organization must be a 501c3 charitable organization, faith-based, or a school. This agreement also outlines delivery and receipt of donated goods, storage of donated goods, proper use of donated goods, and distribution records outlined. So a little more detail on the proper use of donated goods. These are outlined in our Master Donation Acceptance Agreement. If you've received product from our warehouse, you may have a flyer that has come in a carton or a pallet that will reiterate these points. This also can be found on our compliance page of our website. Your organization may use donated goods only as direct charitable donations to people in need. Your organization must not sell, trade, barter, or otherwise transfer any donated goods in exchange for money, property, or services. Prohibited transfers include listing the donated goods for sale or trade on websites, in stores, at flea markets, or in any similar manner. Your organization must not use donated goods for raffles, auctions, or any fundraising activity. Your organization must not accept anything of value, including voluntary donations, in exchange for these donated goods. Your organization must not give any donated goods to volunteers, officers, directors, employees, or contractors of your organization for personal use. Your organization must not return any donated goods to the manufacturer or any retail store. Your organization must not give donations to another nonprofit organization or other entity. Your organization must not redistribute any donated goods to any location outside the United States unless Good360 has given written permission in advance. If a nonprofit violates any of these restrictions, even one of them, Good360 may terminate membership with us immediately. Again, these are all outlined in our Master Donation Acceptance Agreement, which can be found on our compliance page of our website. With our Master Donation Acceptance Agreement, when your organization first registered with Good360, you did acknowledge the terms of the Master Donation Acceptance Agreement. Each time you place an order with us during that checkout process, you also acknowledge that same agreement again, which includes the proper use of donated goods. So we're going to turn now to several other administrative pieces. First is about record keeping. And as your organization is receiving the goods from us and you're distributing them under the agreement, you do need to maintain your distribution reports. This is where the product is going, and you do need to maintain these for 4 years or whatever is required by your state and local laws. If your organization is also partnered doing a retail store partnership or receiving truckload product, you do have some other requirement pieces, and I encourage you to follow up on one of our webinars related to the retail store partnerships and truckload offerings. So this is for organizations if you're just receiving product from our warehouse. And with this, we have several sample distribution report forms. The first here is for individual distribution. So if you're tracking product going out by the individual, maybe they're coming to your location and you're giving it directly to an individual or a family, you can certainly use this form. You may already have something into place, and that's perfectly fine. What I encourage you to do is look at the data fields that we are collecting here and make sure that they're included in your form that you're using. So in this individual distribution form, we had a client that came on February 1st, and as you can see, we have client reference numbers instead of names. Certainly, we understand organizations bound by HIPAA and confidentiality are working with minors, and so we encourage you to use a internal client reference number so that you can reference it back should it need be. What type of goods did they receive? So in this first instance, home goods, and they received 2 bags of them. And then finally on the right, there is a spot for them to sign receipt of goods if you choose to. And this is also a signature spot for them to acknowledge above that they understand that the goods can't be sold, traded, bartered, returned to store. And so certainly this is a place for them to sign. We know that as your organization is vetting the families as they come to you, you're doing case management, you may already have them signing that when they initially come into your organization or when they come back at the beginning to receive services again. So if you have them signing there, that's certainly fine. It's not a requirement here, but we do encourage you to have at least one, if not several ways to communicate that the goods are donated and not to be sold. So you may have that during your initial registration. You may want to do it and have signage up in your facility. People are verbalizing it. Maybe you do keep it in this checkout spot, or maybe put on a flyer about an upcoming event. There can be certainly several ways. And we also want to make sure that, as you're working with families that have other languages, that you're incorporating those into your communication tools as well. So for this example, this is for if you're distributing directly to individuals and you want to track by the individual or the family receiving goods. Again, it's not by an itemized piece, is just a synopsis. So 2 bags, 1 box, 1 carton. You could do 15 pieces. If you're doing clothing, you want to have a count, that's fine too. But certainly we're flexible. Just make sure you have a count and the measurement. For this example, this is an event distribution report. So your organization is serving a lot of people in a short amount of time. You have more of an open house type event. People have already pre-registered, they're signing up, you're doing a volume of people. So this would be certainly a way to do your record keeping. And with this, so on this example, on January 27th, there was an event for veterans and families. We do encourage you to have the address of where the event is. So especially at your location, or if you go to an off-site location, what is the address? What type of product did you take or was distributed? How many people were served, and how much product was distributed. So this first example has 150 people were served, distributed about 200 boxes of goods. With this, we also would anticipate that you would have either a registration log, or families have been pre-registered, so you'll have access to a list of names or attendees, again, should it be needed. So this is a second example of a distribution report. Again, if you already have this built into your own systems, just make sure you have these fields that you're incorporating as well for tracking purposes. So Good360, and part of our due diligence, we do audits. Audits can be typically a random activity that happens. We pull organizations that have had activity with us in the previous quarter and request distribution report and ask some questions about your organization, just to make sure that everything is in alignment and what we're looking for and what needs to be taking place. Certainly, if we get audited or we're asked of information, there may be other ways that you're asking for that information that we would get from your organization. Typically, when we do just a standard audit, we do look at the previous quarter of information, both of what is going out to your organization, out from your organization. A couple things to keep in mind as you're working with Good360, especially if your organization is new in product philanthropy. Sometimes the terminology can get tripped up, and we don't want that to be an issue. And it's often around the word sale and sell. So the items you're receiving from Good360, you're not buying them from Good360. We're not selling them to you. We're donating them. You may be sourcing them from us because you are paying an administrative fee for the product, but we are not not selling them. They're all donated goods. And so as you're going through and thinking about the terminology you're using, want to think about how you're using it in your verbal conversations, both internally, but even if you happen to be engaged with a donor. Information you're putting into your accounting software, the impact stories, what you're putting into that information. Accounting, you want to make sure that you're not putting all this as purchased product. It is donated goods. And I just want to remind you of all this, as there's ways just to avoid confusion for anybody who's looking at your organization or in communication, because sometimes this can be a piece that can trip up an organization, cause concern, and Good360 becomes aware, but we address it directly with the organization. So we're just trying to help you to make sure that there's no issues for your organization. And finally, some frequently asked questions that we receive here at Good360. Why do we have to pay administrative fees? These fees cover the cost of shipping and handling to get the product to your organization. How can we qualify someone as a person of need? There's lots of different ways this can be done. You can certainly use government assistance programs. You may use several, like SNAP, free lunch, low income housing, veterans programs, just to name a few. So, you know, find one or several, but just make sure it's consistent across the board as you're vetting the families that are coming into your organization. Can you limit how much a person or family receives? Yes. Could be based on the number that's in a family. A family of 2 has different needs than a family of 5. How much your organization has available. If it's a high need item and you have very limited quantity, you may limit them to once a visit to receive that. If at one point you have a larger volume, you may allow them to take more. Even how frequently the product may need to be replenished. Thinking clothing versus personal care. Clothing they'll reuse, certainly want some variety, but it's different than shampoo, which once it's used, you'll need to replenish it. Can you distribute goods at an event at another organization? Yes, and certainly you can use that event distribution form. Hopefully their organization that's organizing it is the one who's collecting registrations, probably in advance or at the event, making sure that the event you're going to is dedicated to people in need. It's just not an open community event, and again, needs to go back to the distribution of goods to people in need. When you go to an event, it has to be your staff and volunteers who take the product there, who are distributing it out to the people that are in need at that event, and any remaining product must stay then with your organization. So anything left over comes back, you cannot give it to other entities. How can I find the fair market value of the donations received? You'll need to log into your Good360 account, go to transactions, and review order history. The fair market value will then be listed with the order. How can we submit an impact story? Log into your Good360 account. Again, go to transactions and review order history. From there, select the order for which the product was received and upload your impact story and your pictures. How can your organization be considered for international distribution? Request an application from security@good360.org. For those of you who may be participating in the retail donation program or considering that as an option for your organization, question often comes up is, do you have to take all the product that's offered? Yes, and you can't request specific items of a retailer. So if your organization has very specific needs, going on to the catalog and ordering very specific items is a recommended practice with us. If your organization is matched with a Walmart partnership and it hasn't started, you do need to allow 60 days from the start date for the program to hear from your store. Do not contact the store during that time. And if after 60 days you have not heard from the store, please contact Walmart at good360.org. That goes to our team who's managing and working directly with Walmart on that program. Certainly any other program questions can be directed to that same email address. So I want to thank you for joining us for this webinar today. Again, my name is Jan McKenzie. My contact information, email, and phone number is here. Feel free to contact me directly. Look at compliance and member services, for which I'm part of the team, as a supportive tool to help your organization. So feel free to reach out. Don't hesitate to ask us questions. We're here to help and help to make great opportunities for your organization and make a difference in your community. So thank you very much and have a wonderful day.